Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, she's the 2020 Olympian for South Africa. She was part of their African record-breaking team in the 800 free relay in Tokyo. She went to the 2019 World Junior Championships, and most recently, she is committed to swim for the University of Virginia in the fall of 2022. Today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with Aimee Canny.
Hi.
Hey, Aimee, how's it going?
I'm really good, thank you.
So you're joining us from the United Kingdom, which took me by surprise. I had to get my time zones right. I thought you'd be in South Africa. What are you doing in the UK?
I am currently doing my A-levels. I'm at a boarding school in Plymouth called Plymouth College. I enrolled in the school last September, and but with Corona, it kind of got delayed coming here. So I did a lot of school online. But the main reason to come here just for basically to finish school earlier, and just the amazing facilities in the school here. I thought it was quite a good transition, and to kind of get used to the international kind of abroad training.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. How long ago did you get there?
I went over in I think it was after our Olympic trials in, I think it was March, April. I delayed it a bit, and then I came over straight away, and then I did my training block before Olympics. I did here, so I kind of came to a new club and everything. First time training long course as well, so that was interesting. And then I went to Tokyo, and then I went home for summer, and then I've been back since the 1st of September.
Did I hear that right? You made the Olympic team and you had never trained long course?
Yeah. my hometown, we only have a 25-meter pool, and it's quite shallow as well. So coming here was quite a big shock.
Whoa. Okay. So we're gonna get into that certainly. So you've spent some time here in the UK. What do you think of being there? Like you said, being abroad, getting accustomed to that, and training there for swimming as well.
I've really enjoyed it so far. The training is like completely different, big step up. But I'm super happy to be here because one of the girls in my squad actually went to the Olympics as well, for GB, and then we also have a Paralympic swimmer as well. So the squad has been amazing because there's the level of professionalism in the squad, and I love my coach as well. So it's been great.
Well, nice. That sounds like a really good setup, and I think that's really cool that you get an opportunity like that to go abroad, to kind of get used to being abroad, like you said before. You get to our side of the world, the United States, for the NCAA, which again we'll hit on that in a bit. But let's go back to your setup in South Africa. So you never trained long course. What is your hometown like? Is it a small town? Is it a bigger town?
It's very small town. Very small coastal town. I was born there, grew up there. I had never moved. I'd been at the same club for 10 years. So I trained in the same pool, basically my whole life. But I mean, there's obviously perks to being in a small town, but at the same time, because I had an amazing circle of gym coaches and strength and conditioning coaches who all played a really big role. But I think the pool was probably just the biggest setback. But I loved my training squad back home as well.
How big was how many people were in your town?
Oh, I'm not too sure, but it was quite a small town.
Gotcha. Did you go to school there? Do you remember how many people were in your school?
I had about 50 kids in my grade in my years, and we were like probably the biggest grade in the school. So yeah, it was quite a small school.
Okay. Wow. So then in terms of swimming, you said you were with the same club for 10 years. When did you start swimming? When you were pretty young?
Yeah, I started when I was, I think, 6, 7, grade one.
Okay. And did you like it at first? When did competing or when did it really start to stick for you?
I think for me it was a bit easier because I seemed to progress every like as I got older. I started winning more when I went from level one to level twos to level threes, and I do well at them. But I think I also kept quite a good balance because I played water polo and hockey up until like 2019. So it was nice to have a balance of like teamwork and then obviously individual. But obviously swimming got very serious, so kind of had to drop the others. But to have that kind of fun on the side, I think it made it a bit easier to do the work on my own.
I You answered my next question. I was going to say, a lot of kids when they're fast, when they're naturally fast at a young age, they don't necessarily develop the work ethic, right? Because they're just like, oh, I'm already good at this. I should win all the time. And then it gets to a point and they stop winning all the time. And it's like, well, what the heck? But you
Yeah.
just totally put that into perspective. Ice hockey,
No, like field hockey.
field hockey.
Field,
Okay, got it.
yeah. We don't have ice hockey in South Africa.
That's what I was thinking for a sec. I was like, wait, do they have ice there? Okay. So field hockey, you played field hockey, you played water polo.
Yeah.
When did you eventually drop those and just stick with swimming?
I got when I was playing water polo, I had a bit of an injury. I got like a finger in my eye. And I think after that I was like, no, it's too dangerous. I'd rather just stick to a safer sport.
Can't argue with that. Yeah. Finger in the eye is never good. So then swimming took root and did when was the first time that you were like, oh, I want to go to the Olympics?
So going into junior worlds, I think I was a 50. I don't know what my exact time was, but I think I was like a 56, probably a 56 low. And I was really hoping to break that 56. And obviously the Olympics was supposed to be the next year. And me and my mom both sat down and we were like, look, I'm quite far off as well, the qualifying times, and I didn't really think I had a chance. And then junior worlds came and I kind of dropped quite a lot of time quite quickly. And I was very close to not very close, but half a second in the 100 free. So that was quite a big surprise. So I think that's when my eyes were like, okay, maybe I can start focusing on, getting that time to drop. I unfortunately I didn't get the A qualifying for the 100 free. But I was super excited to go for the relay.
Yeah. So let's talk about junior worlds a little bit. You go in with a 56.5. What did you come out of that meet with in the 100 freestyle?
54.8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty big drop.
So, yeah. In 1 week. Yeah.
Can you take me through that event? You swim the event individually at that meet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you take me through that event?
Yeah. So I obviously went in, I was ranked I think I was ranked like 26th, mid-20s. I didn't have really any expectations. My coach at the time, though, in training, I think that was the biggest thing he like instilled the mentality. He's like, we're going to practice this because we're going to like set up a race. We're going to mimic how you're going to race. He's like, I remember I was standing on the blocks and he's like, you're going to race this 3 times. You're going to race it in the heats, the semis and the finals. And at that stage I was like, no, I don't think I can do that. But I remember we were in training and we were doing it over and over again. And then I got there and I was like, I was just ready to race and I didn't really have any expectations. And then in the heats, I think I went 55. And then in the semis, it was a 54.8. And then the finals was like a 54.9. So I like added a bit, but it was, I was still super happy to have raced that many times.
No kidding. in semifinals, were you still able to kind of race without expectations, or at that point were you
Yeah,
like,
because
I really want to make this final?
I think I went ranked in like lane one. So again, I didn't really have any pressure. So I was kind of like outside smoke, kind of just, gave it my all from the outside.
Yeah. Were you surprised at all going under
Yeah.
55?
Yeah. I remember because my mom was in the stands and I obviously couldn't see her, but that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh my God. I saw this the clock. So it's really exciting.
And you were 15 at the time?
2019. Yeah, I think so. So I was 16. Yeah. Yeah, it was right before I turned 16 in November.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, pretty big accomplishment. Did you swim the 200 at that meet as well?
No, I didn't. Sorry, let me just turn it off. I didn't. I wasn't fast enough, but I swum the 50. So
Okay.
I think I came fourth in that one, the 50 as well. Yeah.
What
I
place did
just
you
missed
finish in the 100?
fifth. So fifth, it was fifth and fourth. So
Not too
yeah,
shabby.
yeah.
Was that your first big, like, major international meet?
Yeah, no, oh yeah. I did early in the year. I did the Monaco Grand Prix, and we did the Italy train camp. But it obviously wasn't as big, but it was just nice to see the names like the Katinka Sues and those kind of swimmers there for the first time. But and Junior Worlds, Junior Worlds still has been probably one of my favorite international meets just because of I think we were all so young at the time that it was just so fun to be racing at that level.
What do you remember about that meet outside of the pool?
I remember I don't know who I think we stayed like the hotel, like the whole hotel vibe with all the different teams mixing together and the bus drives and just everyone else, what they do in the before their races and stuff. And the core rooms, all those are my favorites because there was just so much like suspense, and I hadn't experienced anything like that before, and it was just so cool to see how the big guys do it.
Well, I think it's fair to say you were one of the big guys at that point, or at least at that meet. But what do you do in a call room?
That when I was young, I used to just talk. I used to talk to people, and looking back, I probably wasn't the best thing because I feel like it might have psyched some people out, but it wasn't intentional. I kind of just spoke. But now it's like the opposite. I just go super quiet and I kind of just focus on what I'm going to do in the race.
Will you talk to someone if they talk to you now?
Yeah. I love making friends and stuff. I think that's the coolest part about being able to race like internationally, is just to get like a different group of people, meet
Yeah.
of people.
So then coming out of the 2019 Junior World Champs, what do you feel like you gained from that meet moving forward?
I think it was just experience for the most part. Nothing though prepared me for Olympics when I saw like the likes of Caleb Dressel, and I was absolutely starstruck. But again, I think it was just it was definitely more experience than what I had before.
Yeah. So let's talk about making that actual Olympic team. Did you make the team at the South African Nationals?
No, so we swam the relay at nationals, and we had to wait until, because we were obviously a wild card spot, so we had to wait until the relay period had ended, and I think that was only like a month later. So we knew we had a fast time, but we were just kind of waiting at that stage, and that was only for the medley. The 200 we actually got invited after. I don't think we even were at top 16 for the 200 relay, the 800 relay. We got invited like pretty close. I think we were like 3 weeks out of Olympics, and then they were like, you can bring another relay. So that's when we went.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know it was something that until quite close.
Yeah, that which is pretty astounding considering you had the fastest split and you set an African record. Uh,
Yeah.
pretty pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you all swim that relay, or you time trial it at the South African Championships. You wait, and then you wait a month to find out if you made it or
Yeah.
not. Tell me about that month. What was it like just waiting?
I think we knew, so there was a European champs that we knew, obviously other teams were gonna swim there. And we were kind of tracking that. But again, we didn't really want to worry about it too much, because if it was going to happen, it was going to happen. We couldn't really, at that stage, we couldn't really do anything about it. So we kind of just had to kind of just wait there.
Wow, that is much more poised than I would have had at age 17.
Yeah.
Waiting to see if I made my first Olympic team.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was stressful because people would be like, "Are you going?" I'm like, "I'm not sure, but I'll let you know when I know."
Right. So, what was your reaction once you did find out? Do you remember the moment that they were like, "All right, you're in"?
Yeah, I remember I was with my mom and she was like, we're in." And then we got to like a letter, and it was just like, it was official. It was, everything was just like official. Then it was just it was like so relieving.
It seems like a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, leading into the Olympics, does South Africa have a training camp? What did your lead up into the games look like once you found out? Okay, I'm on the team.
COVID was actually really bad. We had a really bad spike during that kind of period, so we actually couldn't do much training together. That time that's when, after those trials, I came to the UK, and I started training here. But I also had 10 days quarantine at the time, so I was off the water for 10 days and then had to get straight back into training.
You had a 10-day quarantine, like 6 weeks out of the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't ideal, but we
Wow.
had to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. You obviously did. And so then, when you get to Tokyo, were were you starstruck just being on the team with everyone else from South Africa? I mean, you guys have some really big names in, Chad Leclos, Tatiana Schoenmacher. I mean,
Yeah, no, definitely. But they were all, I just think the whole of Team South Africa bonded so well. And like the likes of Chad and Tatiana, it was just so nice to like look up to them. And we were actually in the same like apartment as Tatiana. And it was like she just come back and she just showed us her medals, and it was insane. Yeah, so that was also quite like wow. But yeah, walking around the village, and then because obviously I've watched all these people on TV, and when you see them in the pool, like Caleb Dressel, Kaylee Ledecky, and it was just like, it was insane.
When you were a younger swimmer, did you have a specific swimmer who you looked up to, or who was your swimming hero?
Not not really. I didn't have necessarily one, but like leading up to Olympics, I was definitely keeping an eye out on like Ariarne Titmus, like full on, like I loved her. And then I remember, I think it was we were like in the village for 2 days, and I had to get a drug test. And I remember she walked in, and I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, wow, like I'm getting drug tested, and Ariarne Titmus is like right opposite me.
That is pretty awesome. Did you get to talk to her?
Yeah, not really, because it was quite late. And I don't think she was very happy to be to be there.
Gotcha. That's very considerate of you.
Yeah.
So obviously in the Olympics, like you said, it was an experience pretty much unlike anything else. How do you feel like you handled it, especially knowing that, you had to race once you got there and you kind of had to focus in?
I think in some ways, I think for me, not having the crowd was probably a bit easier, just because it wasn't as much pressure and stuff walking out. And again, relays, I just think are so much more fun because you have the whole team there with you, and it's not just the individual in the core room by yourself. You kind of have the girls there to just be like, you got this, like keep your nerves down. So I think being my first experience, I was very happy to be there for a relay as well.
That seems that seems like a really good way to do it, like you said, for those reasons. And you got two swims. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a lot more than most people get.
Yeah.
You got to lead off the 800 free relay in a 158.41. Was that a best time for you, by the way?
Yeah, I came in with a 2 minutes, so I was quite happy.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, helping South Africa set an African record in that event, and then you anchor the medley in 54.8. So overall, were you pretty pleased with those performances?
Yeah, I think the medley relay was kind of more of the fun one. That was when Tatiana had just like she won gold, and we were all kind of just so excited for her that we were like, let's just have fun in this last like relay.
That seems like a really good vibe.
Yeah, no, it was so fun.
um, so you come off the Olympic experience. Did you have an Olympic come down at all?
I th- I think coming home to my friends was probably the best thing. It didn't think in because like I'm an Olympian. I feel like that's just such a weird thing to say. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think so. I think getting back into training was because I trained a bit at home before I came over. But I think that was probably the hardest, just being able to, I was like, oh, like I'm not really in the mood right now to go to training, but I kind of pushed through it. And I feel like I'm in a good place right now.
Did you take a break or did you go right back into training?
Yeah. So I think I took like 2 weeks and then I went into training for 2 weeks. It wasn't really training. I was kind of just loosening down. And then I came back and then I had another 10 days quarantine here. So had another two, kind of like another 10 days. But yeah, training is getting quite intense now. So getting back there.
Gotcha. Were you always like 100, 200 free 50 freestyle? Were you always freestyle? Did you swim other events when you were younger? Do you still do the occasional
I
like breaststroke or 200 fly?
I used to some breaststroke. Used to do
Okay.
breaststroke and freestyle, but they did used to clash. Like the 100 free, 100 breast used to kind of clash. So now I just kind of I'll swim it. I don't really train it as much. I'd like to start training a bit more butterfly. My IM. But I do like breaststroke's fun. It's very hard, but it's a fun, especially short course. It's just very fast. So you have to turn them.
What do you think of long course training now that you do it?
It is. It's so hard. Like I thought it wasn't gonna be as bad because I've obviously done like a week or two, and like a training camp or whatever. But this is just like when it's constant. Um, but yeah, I just know that it's gonna help in the future. And it's even though it's a lot harder now, I still enjoy it as much as short course, less turns.
um, I mean, we never really even talked about that. So again, you made the Olympic team. You had never trained long course. So how did you approach racing long course when you would go to a meet, having never really trained it ever?
I kind of you can't really do much about it in that situation. Kind of you can't obviously overthink it and be like, oh, I wish I had more training, and I just had to deal with the circumstances and be like, this is what I've got. I've trained what I could do in the 25-meter pool, and I'm just gonna do my best.
So what would you focus on, like, let's say in warm up at a long course meet? How would you get your body in tune with the long course water?
I think I take a lot longer to warm up than some of my friends and people I know who swim do. So I usually do quite a long like aerobic, let's say like a K in the beginning, just because I like to loosen that arms out. And obviously I don't do it straight. I sit on the side, talk to people, but that's how warm up is.
Classic warm up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do you have a preference? Do you like short course, long course for training or racing?
I like I like doing our main like quality sessions in long course just because I feel like the pool's less wavy and you don't really break up the turns don't really break up the momentum you build, especially when you're trying to like build to a main set. So I do prefer kind of long course in those kind of sessions, but like the threshold and the really hard sessions, sometimes it's a bit easier with the turns and it's a bit faster.
How big is your training group now in the UK?
Oh, it is. So obviously I'm at a school, and the school has a lot of swimmers. So this club is like affiliated with the school. So we have quite a lot of training groups. Obviously, so mine will be like the performance one, and then we have, I want to say, it changes quite a lot. So we probably like 15 to 20, I would say. So yeah, so we sometimes it gets quite big, but not everyone's always at training. So.
And how big is the pool?
Oh, we have, it's it's probably 10 lanes, but we don't obviously have the whole pool a lot of the time, but
Okay.
we have probably like 3 of us in the lane.
Okay.
When we
That's
do our
pretty
main
nice.
sets, long course. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is very nice.
Yeah, 3 in a lane for long course. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Do your teammates ever acknowledge that like you're an Olympian or your teammates an Olympian? I mean, do they ever are they like, whoa, that's pretty cool?
Well, we have such a high standard of swimmers, and we also have someone. There was another boy. I forgot. He's also an Olympian. He went for like a smaller for his country, as well. So we also have there's a lot of international guys. But yeah, it is quite cool just to to flex around sometimes.
Have you thought about getting the Olympic rings tattoo?
I That's like the most asked question. I came back to school and they were like, "Where's your tattoo?" I think I might get one in December. I'm really thinking I really want to.
It's good. That's a good way to kick off your 18th birthday, right?
Yeah, exactly. And my mom's all for it. She's been encouraging me to get it. So I think I should.
I feel like in terms of family friendly tattoos, that has to be up there,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it's a
exactly.
pretty significant accomplishment. Pretty, yeah. So that's great. You'll have to keep us updated on that one.
Yeah, I
Um,
will.
so let's talk about the NCAA. When did that pop up on your radar as just something that you had decided you wanted to do or even might be interested in?
So obviously after Junior Worlds, there was quite a big breakout. And then I had quite a lot of universities approach me. And then I was kind of like, okay, well, it's a bit early right now. So I only started looking properly probably 2020, like mid 2020. And it just seems like it's just so quick and it's so fun. And I feel like it'd just be such a cool thing to experience. Obviously no one else in the world does like short course yards and just like kind of quick, intense racing. So I'm very excited for that.
I'm just curious because I don't have much of an international like experience or perspective. Did did universities just from the US reach out, or do you have universities from other countries reach out as well after that 2019 World Juniors?
No, it was all US.
Just us, huh?
Yeah.
We're pretty aggressive in that way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm guessing you didn't take visits anywhere. You didn't come to the US.
No, that was one thing I wish I could have done. But I obviously it's not the same, but I mean Todd and them did a pretty good job of showing me the school and the rooms and what it would be like.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
They yeah. So sorry. So in terms of just recruiting and talking to different coaches, how did you narrow your choices down, even from to 5 or to 3? Did you talk to quite a few, or did you just talk to a few?
I did. In the beginning I started talking to quite a few, but then I kind of started moving away from that route of talking to everyone, kind of just focusing on where do I actually want to go. I ended up I definitely wanted to go East Coast. It's just never wanted to go to the West Coast side. And Virginia,
Hold on.
I
What?
ended
Well,
up.
hold on. Hold on. Wait. I don't know if
I'll do
any
a bit,
I've
but
ever heard any, especially someone who's not from the US. What?
yeah,
Why didn't you want to go to the West Coast?
I don't know. It just never appealed to me, like the whole California vibe. I always just wanted to go East Coast.
What appealed to you about the East Coast?
I I ended up I narrowed it down to North Carolina and Virginia,
Mhm.
and I think they're both kind of more, they're a little bit smaller and it's less. I'm not really like a city type person, and I feel like obviously I've never been to America, but I feel like the West Coast would be a bit more intense.
Yeah, that's probably true. uh, that's good insight. So yeah, that took me by surprise. I've never heard that. I think the West Coast has a lot of allure to most
Yeah,
people. There's
beaches
just
and stuff.
that,
Yeah,
right, like that California vibe. So that's really interesting. So you knew what you wanted. Have you ever been to America before ever? Okay,
no, no.
cool.
So I'm quite excited, but I'm also quite nervous.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then, I mean, so you said it was North Carolina. Like, were you talking to Mark at UNC or to Braden at NC
No,
State?
to
Okay.
Braden, NC State. Yeah.
Okay. So what sold you on Virginia in the end?
I actually met Todd in Tokyo.
Okay.
So I think that was quite a big thing. And I really enjoyed it. And obviously his girls are swimming insanely quick at the moment. And I just think training there with that group of girls would be so amazing.
Yeah. That can't say much more than that.
Yeah.
they're, they're doing all right at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. One of your country mates I have to ask about right now because he's having
Yeah.
a
It's a
heck of a
Matthew States.
fall.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Matthew Sates. Was did he go to junior champs in 2019? Was he on that team?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did go.
Did you meet him on that trip? Was that the first time you had met him?
No, I actually met him the year before. We went to African Youth Games together. That was the first time I met him. Um, and then obviously we went to Junior Worlds together as well.
Okay. Thoughts on Matt Sates? What do you make of him?
I think he's so I don't like no, but he's very sweet. I think he's quite down to earth as well I know for a fact he's a super hard trainer as well. So I think he definitely deserves the success he's getting right now for sure.
I mean, obviously, Chad has been a huge player on the world stage for a long time. We saw what Tatiana did at the Olympics. She had been rising through the ranks. Now we've got young stars like you and Matt, who's breaking world junior records left and right. It seems like South Africa's doing something right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
I mean, what do you think about just generally South Africa kind of being on the rise, especially after a couple of years ago when the funding was cut and it was kind of like, well, people have to pay their own way for world championships, and it wasn't looking too great, and now it seems like things are really looking up.
Yeah, no, I just think it's amazing, especially we have, again, obviously we have Tatiana, but we have a lot of more junior swimmers coming up, which is so exciting, especially for future South African teams as well. And I think it's so good that like the swimming is getting good press now, and it's just it's just exciting for the future, where we're gonna go.
I'm certainly excited to see where South
Yeah.
Africa goes because so far you guys are really kicking butt currently. Um, so what does this fall look like for you? You're in the UK, you're studying, you're swimming. What competitions will you be at or race at, if any, just over the next few months?
So I obviously it's a short course season now. So I think we'll have a couple like smaller short course meets. coming up in the next couple of weeks. And I think the main meet for the cycle is, I'm not sure what the meet is, but it's in the beginning of December. And I think we'll probably do like a small taper for that right before the holidays. And then next year is kind of more the focus, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you go to World Short Course Championships?
I qualified in the 100 IM. It was quite a random event that I qualified in. But yeah, so I don't think I'll be going to that just because it's quite close to Christmas, and I think I'd go home in December.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of, I'll train through December and then hopefully get ready for next year, because I think I'll go to world champs, because I think I'm qualified for that in the 200.
Nice. That seems pretty nice to kind of know in advance. Oh, okay. I'm already gonna
Well,
do
yeah,
that.
I think I probably have to like go to the nationals and stuff and see what the qualifying regulations are.
Gotcha. Well, it sounds like you're gonna have an eventful fall. How's school going so far? Is that, I mean, especially coming off of like an Olympic summer?
Yeah.
You just committed to Virginia, so it's like a lot of big life things happening for you. Is it easy for you to focus on school?
Coming from South African schooling system to like A levels was definitely a very big jump. I take maths, biology, and business. So I mean, maths is quite challenging at the moment. But I'm doing okay in the others. Just gotta try find time to practice math and get my grades up for that.
Just got to find time to practice math.
Yeah.
That's, man.
Rather be in the pool, but
the pool's kind of like math. There's numbers involved. Right?
Yeah, you count.
Pace clocks. Well, Aimee, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat today. It's been great getting to hear about your background and your last couple of years in swimming.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Before we sign off today, any parting thoughts for our audience?
Oh, whatever you do, just make sure you enjoy what you're doing, and you'll be successful in that.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.